Hey, this is Coach Booth, the head girls basketball coach of Walton High. So, the first question I ask is going to be a little different. So, who is the hardest team you ever had to coach against?
Ooh, golly. You know, when I was the head coach at Bray and we played Binger Oni.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of those games and knew everything they were going to do. We talked about, how we had to stop this and stop that, and we just couldn't.
Right.
That was the hardest team because they had a lot of kids hurt that year, and right around playoffs, they got everybody healthy, so it was kind of a different team.
Yeah.
Now, the toughest coach I've ever coached against was probably Kenny Bear. And it's one of those deals where Kenny's been around, and he's
a guru,
he's a quality coach.
Yeah.
And
He's a good
he made adjustments, and we didn't respond to those adjustments. Last year, we played Southmore twice, which, big jump from Bingeroni to Southmore. And those guys, the first game, we really kind of, we won, struggled a little bit here and there, but never felt in danger. Second game, we just couldn't answer anything. And that's one of those things where you look at it and you're just like, not our day.
Yeah.
But it's, and everything's different because you look at those situations and there's times where you're going against a coach and you're like, and then the last 2 minutes he like snaps into something new and you can't answer.
Right.
And it just kind of depends on the team you have. Which team, which coach is the toughest.
Yeah.
But those probably Bingeroni and Velma Alma.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you graduated from Empire in 1994.
I'm old.
Yeah. So, how was like your high school experience? And talk about like sports and everything.
Really, high school for me was really different. I actually quit playing sports in high school.
Yeah, I remember you talking.
And that had to do a lot with my home life.
Yeah.
I played more at Lindsay than I did anywhere else. And by the time I got to Empire, I was pretty much done with it. It wasn't worth the hassle at home. And so I kind of got out of it. And years later, as I became, I've always had that interest in sports. I was a sports writer, sports editor. And then we look back at it. And as I was going through college, I was like, man, that was really stupid just to quit.
Yeah.
And that's one of the messages I try to get through to everybody is don't let something else dictate what you do.
Yeah.
Because we do that so much in life. Well, this is not going to be worth it. This isn't going to be worth that challenge. Right. And, and I tell everybody, one of the biggest regrets I ever had was, not playing baseball through high school.
Yeah.
Stopping after my, in the middle of my high school career.
Yeah.
And so, that's probably one of my biggest regrets, sports wise. But football, I played a little football at Lindsay. I played a little baseball, and that was really it. And I can remember, everybody was trying to get me. When you're at a small school, we need an assistant here. We need somebody to do this. We need somebody to do that. And I was like, guys, I really don't want to coach basketball. And so what did I wind up doing? I wind up coaching basketball.
Seriously. So let's backtrack a little bit. So you went to Cameron.
I went to Cameron.
You have 3 degrees.
I have 3 of them. I have a bachelor's in English. And I got that. I was going to be a journalist my whole life. I just knew it. I took a job in Ponca City out of college. And I thought, as soon as I hit Ponca City, I'm headed anywhere but back to Duncan.
Yeah.
And, and that was my mindset. I was going to get away from, from Duncan and get away from the home life. I'd gone into the Air Force. I'd worked construction.
Yeah.
And I hit Ponca City. And I was like, man, I can't wait to see where I go next.
Yeah.
And eventually it led me right back to here, which is really, the thing that I've noticed in my life, if I say I'm not going to do something, I wind up doing it. Like, I can remember some of the schools that I've coached at. I was like, oh, I'd never coach there. And I wind up coaching there.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
so it's always, it's really taught me to never say never.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Because
You know.
I like to say we make plans and God laughs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, He puts us where we're going to be.
Yeah.
And so that's, when I wound up at Lawton High, I really felt like, I'd had a good administrator here or there, but overall, when I got to Lawton High, it was like, man, everybody's pulling the same direction.
Yeah.
And that's really the first time in my professional career I can remember really thinking that, like, hey, we're all going the same direction.
Right.
So that's why I've, fallen in love with Lawton High. Everybody's like, and everybody looks at you funny, like, oh, Lawton High.
Yeah.
Dude, it's one of the best schools I've worked at.
Yeah, it's huge, too.
It is.
Big school.
While we were in school, I walked an average of 6 miles a day.
Dang.
Because it's a quarter mile from one end of the building to the other.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, what do you teach now?
I do a little special education.
Okay, you still do. Okay,
and some English.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. But and then going back to the degrees, when I went back, I was alternatively certified to teach, and you have to do some professional development or take professional classes. So I could only do teaching and learning. Got to the end of teaching and learning, I thought, and I'd gotten some encouragement from some people at Cameron that said, hey, you need to do educational leadership. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, okay.
Right, yeah.
And so I finished my second master's at Cameron, and I finished all of them, I think, within 4 years. Mm-hmm. And so I probably should have got a doctorate instead of a second master's, but we'll say, nobody notices.
Yeah, especially after 3 degrees. So, what made you want to join, the Air Force for that?
It's really funny. My uncle had been in the Air Force. My dad was in the Air Force. And, I hated school. Uh-huh. I'll be real honest with you. I was not a kid that was good in school. I was a discipline problem, uh-huh. and I thought, what is my quickest way to get away from wherever I'm at? Mm-hmm. And so I worked.
You was really trying to escape.
I was. Hey man, I was beating a path. Yeah. My home life wasn't great, and so I thought I'll join the Air Force. And when you go in the Air Force, you list places you want to go, and I put Australia, Germany, anywhere but here. And I think when it came times to find out where I was going to go, one of the places I was going to go was Altus.
Oh.
I was like, no.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so, but and again, it's funny how things work out. I got into the Air Force and I got got separated from service because of my back. Well, that put me back here. I finished my first degree. I meet my wife. We've been married 18 going on 19 years. I got 3 kids. Yeah. And so if I'd have stayed in the Air Force and gone
knows what happened. Yeah.
And so I really firmly believe that we can make all the plans we want, but we're going to wind up where God wants us. Yeah. And this is where I've been.
Yeah.
So it's just I've really plotted and planned to get away from Duncan for whatever reasons at the time. And I always wind up back here.
I feel like Lawton's cool too. Cause my mom, she can get away 30 minutes and then just come back. You know what I mean? It's just a little different.
And you've seen me after games.
Yeah.
And there's games where, I need that 30-minute drive to kind of decompress and kind of be like, okay, that's over.
So I was about that. So let me ask you. So is it hard, after a loss, going home? Is it hard to kind of not get mad?
It's not now.
Uh-huh.
But the toughest, and Jamar can tell you this, the toughest thing that I've had to do was coach my own son.
I was about to ask you. That's the next question. That was the next question I was going to ask.
And with him, it was really, really tough to say, okay, that's school.
That's the game. Yeah,
that's the school. That's game. Now we're home.
Yeah.
And that became a challenge for me. And really after last year, I decided that it was time for me to separate from him. Let him go.
Yeah.
Let me go do my own thing without either one of us having, you coach in a school, your dad's a jerk, stuff like that. Your kid has to live with your reputation. You have to live with your kid's reputation.
Right. And
so I really wanted to separate the two of us. Mm. And it really has helped our relationship, I think.
Yeah.
And that's important. you know, and everybody's like, oh, you need to get your kid over to Lawton. You know, he's 6'4", 220 now.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you bringing him over? No, he's going to do his own thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's been beneficial for us.
I feel like that would get hard, yeah. Because it was hard because, like, I know after a bad game, so me and Jamar, you know, we would talk about it, and every year we was like, we're not going to talk about the game.
No, not this year. And then you always,
always kind of like, man, what happened tonight? What you see? And then we just be like, well, I thought it was that, you know. And then he's like, well, no, you know. Because it's hard being a player, and you know what I mean? Because, like, you see different things on the floor than what y'all don't see.
Right.
You know.
And that's one of, and that's funny you bring that up, because that's one of the things that I think as coaches we do some of us do poorly. Mm-hmm. We don't take the feedback in a game like we give feedback in a game. You know, because I don't see the backside. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm 90 feet away.
Yeah.
And I think one of the assets of being able to reflect and see is, man, I should have listened because this kid's telling me what's going wrong, mm-hmm. and I didn't switch out of that.
Right.
Or I didn't substitute that player or this kid.
Right.
You know, and that hindsight will kill you as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I can remember I was up 8 or 10 against Turner, and there's 2 minutes left in the game. And actually 2 minutes, 38 seconds.
You remember?
Now I remember. And I'm like, man, we just need, if we get a bucket, this thing's over.
It's over, yeah, the dagger, yeah.
And we get in a situation, I was like, man, we can't get anything. We couldn't get a layup to go in by ourselves. I mean, bouncing off the backboard. And I was like, and they'd rebound, we'd go back the other way. And then all of a sudden, I'd be like, man, I wish I'd get a timeout. And dude call a timeout. And I'd be like, all right. He's bailing me out, and we just couldn't get out of the hole.
Yeah.
And sometimes in sports, you know,
it just happens.
Yeah. You know, you get in quicksand, mm-hmm. and the more you move, the more you struggle, the deeper you get in, and those are times when, you know, those are the games you learn from. Mm-hmm. If you're a learner,
right.
You know, so that's kind of that.
Yeah, and yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because like most coaches really don't.
Yeah, because
get feedback. You know, like, well, it's my way or the highway. You know what I'm saying?
and that's one of the things that we I think as a profession,
mm-hmm.
you know, we've been, you know, we think we've been in enough games. We know what's happening. And
it's a new game every game.
And it's a new game.
Yeah,
You're right. Game. It's 100, and every possession's different,
right.
Because this kid may not be stepping where he was stepping last time, or he may not be posting where he was posting. Yeah. And you may look at him and be like, yeah, we can still do this, and you really can't because the positioning's not right.
Right. So you bounced around some schools. So what was the difference from going from Duncan, was it my junior year, and then going to Bray? Like how big from coaching boys 5A to girls like A? Like how big?
You know, the biggest thing was, and I don't mean this derogatory, there wasn't a big change from the feel of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Duncan still has that small school feel.
Right.
You know, I mean, there may be 200 kids, but it's still...
Yeah, you know everybody.
Yeah, you know everybody. And so from Bray to Duncan, or Duncan to Bray, was not a big jump. But going from Bray to Lawton High, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge jump. And I'll be honest, I mean, it took a little bit for me to adjust to, like, okay, there's 900 kids in this hall, and that's only half of them.
Yeah.
And so, but I think the thing about it is, and I may be the only one that feels this way, we've gotten smaller as a community. You know, the kids at Bray don't do a whole lot of different things than the kids at Lawton High, and the Lawton High kids don't do a lot of things different. I mean, the same verbiage, the same terminology. You know, I can remember our kids shooting a three, goes in whop, and I hadn't heard that, and then all of a sudden I come home and my son's going whop, and I'm like,
yeah.
What? So I do feel like, I mean, that switch, that change from going big to going small is not as big as it used to be. Because of, you know, social media.
I was about to say social technology and stuff.
And that stuff, you know, the the kids at Empire and Bray and Velma are exposed to the same things that the kids at Duncan and Edmond and Lawton are.
Yeah.
And that's really a huge change from when I was in school. We didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
You know, and now everybody's got a cell phone.
Right.
So I think that has really kind of leveled that playing field for coaches going from big to small, because the kids, they dress the same, they talk the same.
Right.
And so I think that change has really been negated by social media.
And so another question I wanted to ask, just curious, do you think that high school needs a shot clock?
Yes and no. I still think, like, getting late in a quarter, if you're up on a team, you can still get that 2-for-1 that you want. I still think that. Because if we come down, we get a good shot, we put it in, and the other team goes down, we play good defense, get a rebound, we can come back and get that 2-for-1. And, you know, how often that works out, I don't know. But I feel like, when you're down, you can't do that.
Right.
And so I think the biggest adjustment that high school basketball needs is to move that 3-point line back.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Why do you think so?
Well, you see it. You go to a gym, where does everybody start warming up from?
The three.
The three!
Yeah.
That's not how you warm up.
Yeah.
And so, but that's what we see. That's, you know, Steph Curry's made it cool.
Yeah.
You know, Klay Thompson made it cool. And
they put a lot of work in.
And, but everybody thinks you just show up to the gym and start shooting threes. Of work in, They don't realize the progression it took to get to being that consistent 3-point shooter. You know, my favorite example is my first head coaching job, I was a baseball coach. And I show up and I ask kids, what position you play? First 4 or 5 of them were shortstops. This is a small school. There's only 10 kids on the team. Not everybody's playing shortstop. Yeah. And so, you know, I think that moving that 3-point line back just a little bit would do more for the sport than a shot clock.
Gotcha. Because that's interesting. I never heard somebody say that. That's interesting.
And I didn't realize it till this year because Coach Wiley, who was the head coach this year for the boys, I was his assistant. We started talking about it, and you know, he's right. You know, move that line back a little bit. People slow. You know,
people stop shooting
that ball so quick when they come down. And so I think that to me would be the biggest adjustment that I'd want to see.
Do you think the 3-point shot has hurt the game in a way? Or do you think we need more like bigs?
I like the big game. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think, you know, the thing that I want to get to is having the personnel to run a triangle offense, and that gets everybody kind of involved. I've looked at different.
That's a hard one to master.
It is.
It is. You can really get it.
If you can get it and you can run it, you know, and that's something that you got to start running as their freshmen.
I was about to say, freshman.
I mean, and it's got to be something, and it's not something that you're going to get and you're going to go in your first year and go, all right, we're running triangle. Well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so, but I do believe in the post. A good post can change your game. You know, an athletic post that can jump and not just stand there and be a statue is a game changer.
Yeah. And you don't see too many people like that anymore.
And you know, I think the thing that we lose with that 3-point shot is people want to, even the bigs think they're a 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
You know,
right, yeah.
Instead of doing what their game is, they try to change their game to fit what they've seen.
How it is now. Yeah, because even at Tabor, like, everybody pretty much shot the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody did.
Yeah.
And so, and he wasn't shooting. They was like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, like, you just have to, you know, kind of stow it up. But, yeah, that's interesting. I've never thought about moving a 3-point line back.
Just give me 6 inches back.
Yeah. That's like half court.
Give me 6 inches.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, yeah, so, all right. Do you have any questions for me before we start the bonus? Any questions for me?
How's things?
How's things, period?
Yeah.
They're fine. I'm still working out, lift every day, work out. I work at the Simmons Center, Douglas, pretty much wherever I can go.
Wherever you go.
Yeah. I'm happy at the Simmons Center because it was hot doing, you know what I mean? It was hot at Douglas, so I'm happy I can get the Simmons Center back up. But everything's fine. Mackey in Oklahoma City, we're both interested in each other. I have to go up there July 10th is when I go up there.
Okay.
So they were number one in the nation last year.
Right.
So they were really, really good. And so he was like, hey, can you play the 3? Can you do it? And I was like, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, whatever, you know. So, but, you know, I got to gain a little more weight. I'm trying to get up to 175, 180. So that's what I've really been trying to. I'm like 160 or 160.
You need to talk to Tully.
Yeah.
He knows how to put that weight on.
Yeah, I got like protein shakes, Gatorade bars, I have all that stuff. And I just, I don't know, eat a lot. I've been drawing.
Eat and lift.
Seriously. I've tried to get some more sleep too. I go to bed late. Seriously. So, but the bonus questions. So
go ahead.
So in a home run derby, Frank Thomas and David Ortiz, who was winning in a home run derby?
In his prime, Frank Thomas. More power than huge, big hurt for
not even close.
No, it'll be close. It'll be close, but I gotta go Frank Thomas.
Frank Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay. And so...
Of course, I'm old, too.
So, second question is top 5... Okay, I'll ask another one. So, all-time starting 5 lineup basketball.
Oh, gotta have Jordan. I go Wilt. I gotta get Magic. Again, I said I'm old, right? You've got to put Kobe and LeBron in there somehow.
Kobe and LeBron.
You know, however you got to do it. Those are to me, those are the best 5.
Yeah.
And the argument of who's the better, it's a useless argument, you know, because different eras, different players, but Jordan's better than LeBron.
So do you believe like when people compare like others, like people period, not just like Kobe, Magic?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I don't get into who's better generationally, you know, because the game has changed so much. Right. You know, when you look back at Wilt, he's scoring 100 points because he's doing this.
Yeah.
And now we're scoring because we're shooting the 3.
Right.
You know, Jordan was deadly from, you know, wherever he wanted to be deadly, but that mid-range and stuff. And so every generation kind of changes to what... You know, everything's new again. And I fully expect us within 5 or 10 years to be back to where, you know, with the bigs dominating.
So then my last question, bonus-wise, is what can girls do basketball-wise to be more, as like a more respected sport? Since you're like a girl, what would you think?
I think the thing about girls basketball is when you watch it, and this goes for any sport. When you watch good girls basketball, it's good.
Yeah, super fundamental.
Yes, super fundamental, and that doesn't necessarily translate to the WNBA. College, yes, it translates. But the thing that when people get to be pros, they want to see LeBron who creates. Yeah. They want to see a Kobe who creates. And that game, in that game, I mean.
And not many people can do that, though.
Yeah. You know and I think the thing that has to change is not girls basketball, but it's the perception and how we view girls basketball. Yeah. It's a different game.
Right.
You know, it's a fundamental game. You know, when I'm looking for something new, I watch a college game, girls basketball. Yeah. Because they're going to run a play and they're going to run it right.
Right. Boys,
and,
you can
and boys, they're going. Somebody's going to freelance.
Right.
And so when I'm looking for something new, I really watch girls basketball because they're going to run it and they're going to run it right. And they may run it 4 or 5 times on one possession. And you can really see how it flows and how it's supposed to work.
Right. So when you like coach girls basketball, I'm curious, did you get like a whole like new respect for girls basketball whenever you started?
You know, I think with me, I coach everything like I'm going to coach the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And everybody makes fun of me. I had a reporter one time, and he came back, and I assigned him this feature. You know, I want you to go talk to the popcorn guy at the radio or at the rodeo. You know, he's been doing it, blah, blah, blah. He comes back, and he's got maybe 10 inches of story column. And I was like, what is this? And I pull him in my office, and I chew on him. Like, that's not good enough. I go, I don't care if I tell you to go cover a game of Tiddlywinks. You cover it like it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that stuck with him and it stuck with me because he came back and he won awards for the feature that he came back with.
Gotcha.
And so it was one of those things, and that's just kind of always been my mentality. I mean, if I'm coaching Atticus in Little League Baseball, I'm probably coaching the same way that I coached you guys. And, you know, people look at that like I'm insane, but that's just how I am.
Where do you think that came from?
Man, I don't know. Because my dad was not, you know, my mom died when I was 8, and my dad was not a sports guy. And I don't know. I have no idea where it came from. I mean, that's just the first time I coached. That's just how it came out.
Yeah.
And you know, some people can take that, and some people can't take that because some days it's really rough to play for me.
Right.
And then some days it's really fun to play for me. And so I don't know where that in a game. You know, I never sit down. Like when I'm the head coach, I'm up. I don't sit down. I don't know where that comes from. I really don't. I'd like to know.
McGuire doesn't either, really. He'll probably like those, right, you know, right the game starts, then he's boom.
He'd sit down for like 2 seconds, and he's back up.
Take his job. I was like, I don't even know why you wear like suit jackets and stuff anymore. Because they all just take it off. I'm like, I might as well just wear a sweater.
The thing that I noticed is I'd wear button-down shirts, and I'd think, you know, make sure the girl, does this look good? And by the second quarter, I've got sweater vest off, my sleeves are rolled up, my shirt's undone.
It gets intense.
And I'm like, I hear you. And you're like, okay. And by the end of the game, you go back and watch film, and if they're filming where you can see yourself, you find yourself going, oh, why did I do that?
You're just like, God.
Oh. But I don't, I wish I knew where that came from, but I just don't. Because even like the first coaches I coached under were pretty mellow people.
Yeah.
And never got real excited, you know, no jumping up and down, no fist pump. I'm fist pumping, you know, Yeah, I mean, I'll probably say more than I should in the game, but that's it. I mean, that's who I am. I can't change it now. 43, 44 now.
Yeah.
Golly, I am old.
Be careful, because Mom's 41. She thinks she's still young. So.
She probably feels younger than I feel. I feel old.
Seriously. But any more questions?
No, I'm good, man.
Right, man.
You
Thank
good?
you. Yeah, thank you for having me. That was fun. It wasn't as long as McGuire's. It was as long as McGuire's.
All right.
But,
all right.
Yeah, but thank you.
Hey, I appreciate you.
No problem.